enforce all of the stipulations we are under the workers. General workers that falls on the CLA, their rights and their obligations. And that, in general, what the CLA represents. And it is important that whenever there are issues regarding the performance of the staff and the management of the institutions, that you have a fallback on as to what has been agreed bilaterally by the union for the staff and by management.
And I must say congratulations with the 76 persons that showed up at our general meeting. Okay, we are looking forward for good management and staff care, because that is my main purpose, the care for the staff. It's all about the staff. It's not about us. It's about you all. Okay? And from both sides, I would like us to move forward. And don't think you're going to have it easy. It's not easy. Life isn't easy. But we pushed through. We pushed through. And we did it for you all. Okay? And you all always free to come to us when it don't work for you. Okay? And remember, follow the line of command before you reach to us. Do it good. And I depended and I'm proud of y'all. And I want this new year will come in to be a new year of moving forward. We got to keep this place, St. Martin Medical Center, up here. And it can't work without you all. You all are the pushers in here. They can't do it by themselves. Okay? And if you give me a chance, I go through the whole afternoon because it's a lot to go through. Love all of you. Okay?
I think we at St. Martin Medical Center, we are blessed. And blessed in what sense? We went through COVID, and where we heard how many people had to give in part of their salary. We didn't have to do that. We continued, you got your overtime, we continued to give care, and we continue to provide care to you. But now the time has reached that there are a lot of instances and institutions that wish they had a CLA to sign. There are a lot of institutions that don't know what is a raise. If we look at even our government, we have government workers walking around and say in months, in years, they haven't had a raise. We did. We are coming through. And why we have to do this is because together we're doing everything for one purpose, the purpose of us. And us, I mean, when you become a patient, like the patients that come in here, we are doing it for that. So in order to provide good care, customer service care, we as management have to provide staff, customer service, good care to you. So I think I'm going to end again. We are blessed. Let's continue to be blessed and bless our patients.
Tirelessly on this collaboration, Halek Duran, our HR manager, the hours he has put into making sure this is here. Halek, much thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge one person that is here today. No one might know him. Mr. Challenger, on behalf of our supervisory council, is here to witness, of course, that we have reached this far today. Thank you for your support, and we continue to looking forward to the continued support from the supervisory.
I would like to say something. I would like to thank Halek. He get beat up, he get kicked, he get everything. Wendy's stayed in the back and hide. It was Halek What faith? The faith. I am very truthful. You understand me? Halle, I beat you sick. And if I have to do it again, with the power of God, I'll do it again.
Okay, guys, hold to that. Thanks everybody for coming out.
So before diving into what the outlook for St. Maarten is, it's always important to take a look at the global economy, because the global economy determines to a large extent what is happening in St. Maarten. So if you look at the global economy and we look at the left-hand panel, we see that global growth is slowing down, but still it remains on a reasonable level. And so what we still have in our numbers is a soft landing. It's quite remarkable that we haven't seen any strong response to the hiking of interest rate that we will discuss later of the global big central banks. But we see a moderation of growth, which is important to also moderate inflation. But we don't see a recession just yet. If we look at our trading partners, the US is the most important trading partner for St. Maarten. Then that is the picture that we see. We see for 2022, 2023, 2.1% growth, slowing down to 2024, around 1.5% growth in 2024. In the Netherlands, the slowdown is more pronounced because also the growth in 2022 was still much higher than in the US, above 4%. So also the growth slowdown is more pronounced, even slowly reaching technical recession territory in the third quarter of this year. But for the whole year, we still expect a growth of 0.5% or 0.6% in the Netherlands, and then picking up again next year, especially because government support measures supporting purchasing power of lower incomes is having a positive impact on growth. So how is that picture for inflation, global inflation? So the very high inflation levels in 2022 has been slowing down and moderating in 2023, but still high. So still above or around 4% in both the US and the Netherlands. The Netherlands was in 2022 extremely high, almost 12%. So there's a sharp slowdown in inflation to 4% in 2023. And the main reason is the development of global commodity prices, and of those, it's the oil price that has been declining actually in 2023 from the high levels in 2022. And that is what you see on the right-hand panel, the different world commodity prices. But still, if you look at the level of the prices, then they are still above the level of 2019. And so some of the price rises, of course, will stay. And the main question is whether we will see this higher inflation translating into second round effects, and maybe taking even more time to go back to the target levels of global central banks, that is around 2%. And we're not there. Initially, it was expected that the inflation was going back to target levels in 2023, then it became 2024, and at present it's only going to reach 2% as expected, not before 2025. So this will have an impact also on the price levels in St. Maarten, which we will discuss later on. The reason for this slowdown in inflation is the very sharp interest rate hikes of the major central banks. That's been shown here. On the left-hand side, you see the development in the monetary policy rate of the Federal Reserve and of the European Central Bank. I mean, they were around 0% in 2022, at the beginning of 2022, and then a very sharp pickup to 5.5% in the US and 4.5% now in Europe, in the euro area. And now it's expected that these exchange rate hikes are being paused, and then maybe next year there's room for some decreases of the high interest rates. But that will depend on whether inflation is indeed developing and smoothing out to a lower level, to target levels of 2% in the end.
At RBC, we know the roles you have to play can change quickly. Whether it's a homeowner, a new parent, today's head chef, or the family chauffeur. Whatever life asks you to be. RBC is a bank for all of you. Win Christmas cash with a no-fee loan from RBC.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah, your social health insurances.
Mr. Chairman, before I go into just a couple points that I had, and actually have two motions that I would like to present, there is just something that I would like to bring to the context of what I hear a lot during this meeting, also in previous meetings of Parliament and many years in Parliament, is that we often, rightfully so, demand and expect an attention to locals, or even more specifically, St. Martiners. But this, indeed, when you look at it from a policy perspective, can create some ambiguity to the point where, unless we are at the point where we have successfully, as a community, as a country, defined the St. Martiner. Oftentimes we use this and we say, St. Martiners need to have opportunities, St. Martiners need to have work. But I heard a question earlier that prompted that when we say that, let's say, a policy is going to be suggested or resolved within the government-owned companies to hire St. Martiners or locals, what exactly are we talking about? And when are we going to come to the point where we actually decide, especially as a parliament, that it is important to identify the status of the St. Martiner, possibly introduce the status of a belonger, and have a community that is inclusive, where we can understand that the people of St. Martin have that identity very clearly. Those that are born to be here and want to be here also have that status, and that immigrants who follow the rules and who want to be a part of this society and pay their fair portion to the community and to the government, also all of us have an opportunity to be a part of St. Martin. So I just wanted to make that statement as something that I think hopefully in future parliaments we will be able to address very carefully. Mr. Chairman, I just had really two motions that I wanted to use the second round to present. Mr. Chairman, the first one, and I just want to say very frankly, I think I'm a very frank person when it comes to, regardless of the government that I support and ministers, I try to handle things very diplomatically as possible. But the fact is, I am not going to pretend that I do too want to ensure that any concerns regarding what we have done in terms of the cleanup of the taxi system and all of this, that these questions are sufficiently answered in a manner that doesn't trample on the privacy or information of citizens, but that details should emerge to put to rest once and for all that there was any unfairness or anything going on that is not in the principles of good governance. Mr. Chairman, the goal set out to be able to clean up the taxi and bus registry to be able to ensure that we stay below the cap, and of course, transition some people that have been renting hub chauffeur licenses, albeit illegally, and allow them the opportunity to now have it directly. If this has been done without sufficient clarity to the public, to the taxi drivers and the buses, then I hope that the minister will be able to continue to provide this here today and to the public. But Mr. Chairman, I think one of the things that I've always wondered about our local taxi industry is that I believe that, unlike many countries, I would say maybe most countries, the taxi industry primarily, or for a very significant portion, relies on domestic travel, so people from within the city or from within the country itself to make use of their services. Mr. Chairman, I don't know for the rest of my colleagues here or others how often it has been that we ourselves have ever taken a taxi or have been using the service other than maybe when we come from the airport or are going to the airport in some cases. Mr. Chairman, I think we have an opportunity in St. Martin to expand the amount of income that our taxi drivers can make by stimulating the local market more. When we look at St. Martin having 60,000 residents, and even now you add more the French side, if just 10% of those people were to spend just $300 a month on taxis, we're talking $1.8 million a month going into the taxi industry. That's just 10% of the population. But I believe it's incumbent on the Ministry of TIAT and the Minister of TIAT to be able to come up with the feasibility of something like this, to deal with the practicalities of this is something that is probably very, culturally and as a custom for us, that is not something very common for locals to make use of taxis. But I believe if we can make an effort as a government, as a Ministry of TIAT, to really actually start to stimulate by means of policy, by means of improved local dispatching, so there's a very reliable manner in which someone can call and get a taxi, special rates for locals, etc. I think we can do something to stimulate more income for this industry as a whole.
A brief summary why it's important that we share our position as workers, consumers, and being part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. After slavery was abolished, the workers, not only in the Caribbean, but also in Europe, met and established what is called the ILO. And the ILO has some conventions, agreements by all parties that equal rights, human rights, equal rights for all persons in the world, that they must be treated equal. We saw what happened afterwards. After the First World War, the ILO was established, and after the Second World War, the UN Charter was established, and the UN Charter gave even more rights to the inhabitants of the world. As a matter of fact, there should be no more colonies, and there should be equal partnership in every society. And that's why from the last election, we asked the different parties on St. Martin to agree that they would champion the cause of the ILO and the UN Charter that guarantee workers' rights and equality among all inhabitants. Only one party did agree on that. So this time now, we want to make sure all the parties that they would agree towards equality, equal rights, and all international obligations that the Kingdom has signed off on to eliminate poverty, eliminate hunger, make sure we have proper education, and all that is important for every citizen, every human being.
SXM, your social and health insurance. SXM, your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, your social and health insurances.
At RBC, we know the roles you have to play can change quickly. Whether it's a homeowner, a new parent, today's head chef, or the family chauffeur. Whatever life asks you to be. RBC is a bank for all of you. Win Christmas cash with a no-fee loan from RBC.
Thanks, Green. You said that President Biden was familiar with what his son was going to say on Capitol Hill. If I called my dad and said, I am about to violate a congressional subpoena, he'd probably say, son, you shouldn't do that. Was there any attempt by President Biden to talk Hunter out of it today?
You're going to call your dad Steve?
Call him Dad, usually.
Look, I don't have anything else to add. The president was familiar with what Hunter was going to say today. Look, he's proud of his son. He and the First Lady are proud of his son, how he's rebuilding his life back. He's going to focus on what is needed on the American people. Hunter, and I've said this many times, is a private citizen. And so certainly I would have to refer you to his representatives. I'm just not going to get into private conversations because what you're asking me is actually a private conversation. I'm just not going to get into it.
Right. First briefing since Hunter was indicted again in Los Angeles. Why doesn't President Biden just pardon him?
President, I've been very clear. The president's not going to pardon
And
his son.
one more about these this Ukraine money for border policy negotiations. In the last 24 hours, 10,000 illegal border crossings, southwest border. Would you admit that the border policy, the Biden border policy so far has not worked?
What I will say is that we have known for decades, that the immigration policy is, the immigration system is broken. We've said that over and over again. That has been Republican administration and Democratic administration. That is not unheard of. That is what we have seen for the past couple of decades. The president has put forth a comprehensive immigration policy legislation on his first day to deal with this issue. Republicans refuse. They refuse to deal with this issue. It's been almost 3 years since he put forth that legislation. So we're going to do what we can do from here, but we have said this is something that needs to be dealt with in a bipartisan way, About 1,000 of these illegal border crossers every day are getting away to parts unknown in the U.S. Does the president think that is a national security risk? Here's what I'll say. One of the ways that we also have to look at this is what congressional Republicans have refused to do. They refused to support previous requests from the president. What they've asked to do actually hurts the issue, hurts the problem that we're seeing at the border.